Possible new features on the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the channel. So if you haven't checked my channel out before, I have like 600 Apple related videos, so check it out. I'll show you kind of an example right there. But let's get into this one. So what I wanted to talk about today is the new rumored, basically, it's coming though. It's going to come around, I think, September of this year, but it's the iPhone 15 Pro version and the Pro Max version. So they're kind of the two higher end versions. So what are some new features that are going to be different than even the 15, the lower end ones? What are they going to have that's going to make them a little bit special, a little bit more expensive? So that's what we're going to talk about. I think I have like 10 or 11 right now. So we'll get into the video. Just stay with me. I'm going to go to different various websites and show you what they're kind of doing rumors on. But these are getting pretty baked in. So I'm pretty sure most of these are going to be correct. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, number one, and again, this is only for the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, not the lower versions. They're saying it's going to come with the A17 chip. This is a 3 nanometer chip, which is actually really cool. And it says on the lower versions of the iPhone 15, it's going to actually come with the A16 chip. And that's going to be a 5 nanometer chip. So you're going to get from this, what is it, the A17 chip, you're going to get faster performance, better battery life. And they say the performance is going to be about 15 to 20% faster. So again, this is why those phones are going to be more expensive, both the Pro and the Pro Max. It's going to have a different chip, they're thinking, than the lower models. And a lot of places are kind of saying this all over the internet if you look for it. So I think it's going to be true. It's kind of a unique step for Apple. But that's one of the reasons why you want to pick up maybe the Pro as a sweet spot. And that's number one. All right, so number two is something we've all been waiting for. It's going to finally come with the USB-C port, all right? Not the Lightning port. That's a huge thing right there, obviously. And what it says is it's going to be a faster USB-C port. And that's going to basically be at least USB 3.2 or Thunderbolt 3 on the Pro and Pro Max versions. And it says it's going to keep the iPhone or the iPhone 15, the lower two versions, it's only going to be USB 2.0. So you're going to get a difference in USB-C speeds. I'm not sure why they're doing that because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of cost difference there. Obviously they want to sell the Pro models, but at least, if you get the Pro model, you're going to get a faster, at least 3.2, or you're going to get a Thunderbolt 3 port on there, but it's going to be USB-C, and that's going to solve a lot of issues with kind of bringing different cables and stuff with you. All right, so number three is going to probably be one of the things that everyone's going to complain about, and I don't know why they do this kind of stuff. I don't know why companies do this, but let's look over at my screen. Here's a picture of the iPhone 14. You can see the physical buttons here, and those are actually what everybody wants. They want a physical button, right? At least that's what I would think. Apple, though, if you look over at this leak, and I'm going to be going through various pages. This one's from basically Tom's Guide here. And if you look at this, you can see this is what they're proposing over here. It's going to be kind of a haptic feedback button where you kind of move your finger over it and you get kind of haptic feedback back and forth. But it's not really a physical button where you press it in and press it out. It's actually going to be more of a slider. And I think this is a big problem. At the end of the day, I think a lot of people have problems with that just because they're not used to it or something. And it seems like sometimes those break more often than just having a button. I don't know why they keep thinking that buttons are bad. I mean, they kind of get rid of all the buttons on a phone, but it just is nice to have to push something to have some action happen. So at the end of the day, let me know what you guys think. Is this worth it or not? I don't think it is, and I actually don't like it. All right, so number four, and again, this is the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max, is going to have ultra thin bezels. So if you look at my screen over here, you can see this is a case for the kind of the new phone that they're proposing, and this is the old iPhone 14 or the current one. And you can see the difference there. It's not huge, but it's going to be, obviously smaller. And they call it ultra thin just to kind of put a kind of a word in there that makes you excited about it. But at the end of the day, it's just a little bit thinner. If you look over here, this is the phone right here in the middle. And this is from Mac Rumors that has kind of the lead right now as far as the thinnest bezels. You can see it's 1.61 millimeters at the top, 1.81 at the bottom. And Apple's proposing about a 1.55 millimeter bezel. So they want to be able to say we have the thinnest bezels in the world on their phone, and that's what they're going to do on the Pro and the Pro Max version. All right, number five, it's going to come with a titanium case, at least around the phone. And this is different. Usually it's steel. This is from Forbes over here, and they're kind of saying, basically titanium is 3 to 4 times stronger for the same weight. So you're going to definitely get a lighter phone that's going to probably be a little bit stronger as well. And the only problem with this is that they don't even they're kind of figuring out in here as well, is they're saying, well, titanium is about 35 to 50 bucks per kilogram compared to $1.50 per kilogram for stainless steel. So if you do the math on that, that's like what, almost 30, 40 times difference. So I'm not sure how Apple's going to keep the cost at the same as it was last year for the Pro and the Pro Max if they're going to add titanium. So you tell me, would it be worth it to add titanium if it's going to go up like 50 or 100 bucks? I don't think so. I mean, I don't think, too many people bend the frame. It's more the glass that breaks when you drop it. So at the end of the day, I don't think they need titanium, but you tell me. All right, so the next one is going to be increased RAM. So finally, if you look over here, Macworld's reporting that the iPhone 15 Pro may have as much RAM as a MacBook, and a MacBook doesn't have that much when they start out with, so it's only going to be 8 gigs of RAM. And they're saying it's basically going to usually, these are going to come with 8 gigs up from the 6, and it's going to let you load more browser pages and things like that, so you can have more applications open at the same time. Apple does a really good job with the memory as far as, versus maybe, I have an Android phone, I use that as well. So obviously you need a little bit more RAM on those type of phones. So Apple does a good job, but 8 gigs, right now even seems low for a phone with some of the kind of flagships going up to 12 or, 16 or something. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be better. So just more RAM's finally coming, and Apple's not getting so stingy with the RAM, and that's always a good thing. All right, the next change here is going to be, it's going to be coming with a mute button. And what's the difference? If you look over here, it's not going to have kind of the classic mute switch you have on iPhones normally. It's going to be like a haptic feedback button again, where you push it instead of slide it. And a lot of people are complaining about this. Now, again, I don't know until I use it how crazy this is going to be, or if it's going to be any difference at all. But I mean, I know there's people that love kind of the slider button because they know for sure if it's one way or the other with the haptic feedback and stuff. I don't know if it'll be just as easy. At the end of the day, this is going to be something that they're doing on these new two models, so I think, at least, it's rumored, but I think they're going to do it, so you tell me if you guys like this or not. All right, so the next one on these two models is going to be a Periscope Camera. Look over here. This one's by Mac Rumors as well. If you look over here, it's saying that the new Pro models of the next version should go 6 times optical zoom. It looks like the previous versions were 3-time optical zoom, so it's going to double that basically. So if you like zoom and you like optical, not digital, this is actually going to be a good feature. But it's the first time that they're really doing something internally on the camera a lot different than like the lower versions. So who knows how it's going to work. Also, if you get more moving parts in there and stuff, will it break more often? I think Apple will figure it out, and it's going to be always better to have more optical zoom. And eventually, you're not going to probably even need a normal camera anymore. These things are getting so good. But let me know, is it worth the extra cost, or if you had to pay an extra little bit money to get that optical zoom? I think it might be for photographers. For the rest of us, maybe not. This next one's pretty much a lock. It says, it looks like it's going to be going with Wi-Fi 6E. So Wi-Fi 6E, why is that important? Well, instead of using the 5 gigahertz spectrum, it uses the 6 gigahertz spectrum. And ultimately what it means is faster Wi-Fi speeds, probably. And you're also going to be probably on a network with less people, so you're going to have better performance overall, most likely, right? Now, in order to use this, though, to get those faster speeds, you're probably going to need upgraded equipment. Don't forget that. Your router in your house or however you're using it. So you got to take all this with a grain of salt, because a lot of people might get the phone thinking they're going to get it, and then they don't even get the upgrades because they don't have the equipment that can support it. So we'll find out. At the end of the day, though, I think this is a good upgrade, and they have to do it. They're doing it with all their MacBooks and all those type of systems. So this is actually a pretty good one, and I'm looking forward to it. And I saved the last one, probably the most boring for most people, but if you need it, you need it. It's basically going to come with improved LiDAR scanners, or a LiDAR kind of sensor. So at the end of the day, why is this good? This is good for, basically AR, augmented reality type stuff. Also, it says, on this little thing, it says it's also night mode photos. It's going to help with night mode photos, figuring out where things are in relation. So it might actually improve night mode photos for all it's worth. But overall, I think there's a lot of people in industries that use LiDAR quite a bit, and it's a game changer for some people. So it's coming up, it's basically going to have an improved kind of LiDAR system built into it. And again, for most of us, we don't use it yet, but I do think in the next couple of years, we're going to see more things with this. So just having that on there and seeing more things come out over time, it's probably going to help more people. And but again, it's probably lowest on the list here. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up. Now, what do you think about these changes? Is it going to make a big difference between the kind of the Pro models and the non-Pro models? Is it going to be worth that cost? I think these are going to be, again, like $1,000 up to $1,200, somewhere in that range to start with, and they can even go up from there. So you're going to be paying a lot more. I mean, you can probably pick up the other versions for probably $799, somewhere in there. So you guys have to tell me. Obviously, the size will be different on the Max. That's one reason you'd pick that up. But I think a lot of people do go with the Pro because it does have some of these extra features. And I think that Dynamic Island and stuff is going to be in all of them, although we're not sure yet. But I think that'll come to all of them. So that kind of will go away as far as an added feature. And you'll have to make your decision. But I think, obviously there might be enough stuff on this new one coming out that may make you change if you're kind of getting old on your old one. So you guys tell me, are these changes even, what you expected? Are they going to be making you change your phone? For me, I don't know. But I mean, for most people, I think some of these things would. And at the end of the day, I just want to report what's coming up. It should come out in September, like I said, or a little bit later this year for sure, more towards the end of the year. And we'll see how correct I am. Unfortunately, I can't delete these videos, but hopefully you can subscribe if you want to. I do a ton of videos on Macs and Apples and everything else. I have, like I said, over 600 videos, I think, or 550 right now. A lot of Apple related. I do tons of gadgets, including hubs and computers and everything else. So Subscribe if you can, help me out, help me grow my channel. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.